What's up, guys? Here to do a prediction for this weekend's semifinal bout at the World Boxing Classic Super 6 Super Middleweight Tournament between Carl the Cobra Froch and Glen the Road Warrior Johnson. Gotta say, definitely the fight that I'm most looking forward to in boxing that's scheduled for the remainder of the year, and even the fights that could potentially be scheduled. This is probably the one fight that I'm really looking forward to the most. Just two guys I really like to watch fight, and stylistically, I think this should be a real good matchup. Glen Johnson, of course, coming off that win over Alan Green, where Glen was placed into the tournament after Mikhail Kessler withdrew from it. Got that win over Green. Green complained about the shot being behind the head, but he kept leaning into it. I don't think it was really a bad or intentional shot, but Glen looked good in that first fight at 168. As for Carl the Cobra Froch, or Froch, however you want to pronounce it, or however it's pronounced, it's coming off that one-sided, easy win over King Arthur Abraham, man. I actually thought that was going to be one of the more entertaining fights of this tournament, but it didn't play out that way. Carl, instead of going war with him, he kind of just decided to box and use his athletic gifts and just completely outboxed Abraham for 12 rounds. It was actually kind of a lackluster fight just because Abraham brought nothing to the table. But of course, you got to give credit to the Cobra for just executing a perfect game plan, more or less. As for this fight, who do I favor and why? I favor Carl Froch because I don't think he can, have as much success against Glen Johnson by trying to fight the same way he did against Arthur Abraham. Because Glen Johnson's going to bring it a lot more than Arthur Abraham did in that fight, even if he is having trouble catching up with Froch or having trouble at a distance with the jab and Carl's movement. But I think if Carl Froch is smart, he would look to implement a similar game plan as he executed against Abraham. Because Glen Johnson, he's a grinder, he's an active fighter, always pushes forward, but for the most part, he's kind of easy to hit. And if you can keep him away, then you can rack up points against him. Why would you give Glen Johnson the opportunity to get inside and, really go to war with him? That's where he has his best chance of winning the fight. Glen Johnson just loves to go get on the inside, go toe-to-toe, rip to the body, which, if he's able to do so, it's definitely going to slow down Froch's movement as the fight progresses. But if you're Carl Froch, why would you even bother doing that? Why would you give your opponent the best opportunity that he has to win the fight when you can just kind of, work from the outside and use angles and, like I said, pump that jab out there and work combinations from a distance. So I think that's in Carl Froch's best interest. For Glen Johnson, got to cut off the ring, man. You can't just let Carl circle around all night. Cut off the ring, try to trap him against a rope in the corners. And like I said, go to the body. Just mix up those combinations, let your hands go. A lot of times, I know Glen Johnson has a history of being robbed in a lot of fights, but depending on the judges, a lot of times judges favor the more aggressive fighter, and that's probably going to be Glen Johnson in this fight. Or they'll favor the more active fighter, which I believe will also probably be Glen Johnson in this fight. So I have a feeling that the scorecard is going to be pretty close in this one. I think that we could get a close decision, possibly even a split decision or a majority decision. I don't think it's going to be a draw, but I do think it's going to be close on the scorecards. Even if the fight isn't necessarily all that close, not saying that it's not going to be, but I do think that one way or the other, the scorecards will most likely be close at the end of the night if it goes the distance. I'm assuming it will. I don't see Glen stopping Carl. And I know Glen's getting up there in age, but he's a tough SOB, man. They won't call him the road warrior for nothing, and I don't think the Cobra's going to be able to take him out. So I'm going to favor Carl Froch to win this fight by decision. But I do think it's going to be a very exciting, very entertaining fight. Probably the best in this tournament up to this point, in my opinion. So far, it's been probably the Kessler-Froch fight, but I think that this one can surpass it. Hopefully it does. If not, I still think it's going to be a good fight regardless. Also, Kessler is fighting on the undercard. He's fighting against some no-name guy who's coming off a win over a guy with a terrible record. I don't know what's going on there. I wish Kessler was still in the tournament, but he's not. But, yeah, one of your guys' thoughts on this fight? Who you favor and why? I imagine the majority of people are going to pick Carl Froch to win this, but if you think Glen Johnson could win, give me an avenue of how we can go about doing so. Or who would you prefer to see win? Would you like to see Glen Johnson win? Honestly, I'm a big Glen Johnson fan. He's one of my favorite fighters. I don't have a lot of favorite boxers. A lot of guys I really root for, I guess you would say. Glen Johnson is one of the few. And as much as I would like to see him win this fight, as a fan, I would in a way prefer Carl to win this fight because I think he matches up better against Andre Ward in the final round of this tournament. I think Andre Ward would have a much easier time against Glen Johnson than he would against Carl Froch. So I'll be cool with whoever wins, but in a way I'd rather see Carl Froch win just because stylistically I think he makes a more intriguing and more of a threat, poses more of a threat to Andre Ward. Anyways, talked about this fight and a bunch of other stuff, including Chavez Zivic, which I really don't have a lot of interest in. On yesterday's Science Advance Radio Show, of course, we'll be talking the results on next Sunday's show. If you didn't get a chance to check it out live, you can always check it out on the podcast or on demand. I'll put the link in the information part of the video as usual. So we'll link to my Twitter and a link to ScienceAdvance.com. Let's get one of you guys' thoughts on the fights. Till next time, I'm out.